Welcome to Wealth Bytes, the first and only YouTube channel for tech professionals in Australia. These are my thoughts and views on how to make money and retire early, and by no means financial advice. I really encourage you to get one. Since you are here with me, welcome to my world. I will be discussing ideas and ideals that may not seem popular and sometimes provocative in nature. However, it is eye opening. That is the feedback I get from a lot of people. And it will expand your horizons to make money differently. Now, let me start by asking you a question. If your company disappeared tomorrow, all your job, your RSU, and the bonuses, all of it, would your life fall apart? Or would it not matter? And that's what I call it. It doesn't matter money. Not cash sitting quietly in an account or a saving buffer for bad luck, but a plan, an engine that pays you even when you're not at work to replace your salary. It's the point where your income doesn't come from your employer anymore. It comes from your assets that you've built. And that's when you can look at the redundancy or a toxic boss or share price drop and say, it doesn't matter. I have my own paycheck. So let's first define it clearly. It doesn't matter money is the stage where your passive income replaces your active income. It is not about being rich. It's about being resilient and capable. It's about designing a financial system that pays you your bills and funds your life and also give you choices whether you keep working or not. The formula is not really complicated and we will go through it today in this episode. You build assets that produce income, investments, dividends distributions, rent, or even business profits. You keep growing that income until it can cover your life. At that point, your salary becomes optional. You can work because you want to and not because you have to. That is, it doesn't matter money. When you can look at your payslip and think, this is nice, but not really necessary for my life. I am working optional. So, why tech professionals need this more than anyone? Let me be honest with you. I have been working with tech professionals for more than 20 years, and they have a lot of unique problems. One of the major problems they are very well paid, but they're very poorly protected. You might earn $300,000 or $500,000 a year, but most of that depends on the company continuing to love you. Remember, you're most likely not walking away with your unvested shares. And companies, even the big ones, are not built for loving you. Corporate life is brutal, and you know this. You're most probably a number. You have seen layoffs hit brilliant people, and you have watched share prices swing more than 40% in few months. And in the same time, you get the tax bill arriving from ATO, from RSU that vested at a high price. And that made you wonder, why is this happening? The income looks stable until it's not. And that's why this idea really matters. Because in tech, volatility is baked into the system. Your salary is really high today because your skills are in demand today. But one algorithm change, one leadership restructure, one acquisition, and suddenly your future income evaporates. So, if you're not building an income machine outside your employer, you're not really building wealth. You're just renting your lifestyle from your company. And one day, the rent either will go up or the lease will end. So, high income versus having it doesn't matter money. People often confuse high income with being independent and free. They're not the same. High income means you have a lot of money. Having it doesn't matter money means your money works for you. You can have high income and actually trapped. I still remember a tech lead at Google earning $1 million a year and saying, I'm feeling unsafe. This is not sustainable. You can be earning $500,000 a year and still terrified of losing your job. You can have millions in company stock and still feel broke because all your freedom depends on a share price. It doesn't matter money changes that equation completely. Because once your assets produce more than your lifestyle costs, the stress flips. Your job becomes optional. The employer becomes your client. Your RSU becomes a bonus and it's not a lifeline anymore. And that's when your decisions change and you start negotiating differently. You actually will stop chasing every promotion for safety because you start thinking, does this really serve my life? Or I'm just getting the title and more headache really. That's the invisible power of this kind of wealth, that it doesn't matter money. So what does this money buys you? Let's talk about what it buys, because the product isn't money. It's actually freedom. It buys options. You can choose projects. You can actually pause, reflect, reset without the world collapsing. It will buy you calm decision making, and you will stop negotiating with any fear. It buys you your dignity as well, because there's a certain grace in being able to walk away from what no longer fits. Not because you're angry, but because you are free. And this is what real financial independence look like in practice. Not a beach or a Lamborghini, but being able to say, if it all stopped tomorrow, my life doesn't. I'm okay. I have a story for a client. I'll call him Alex, right? So he's a senior engineer. He's 46 and earning about $380,000 in Atlassian. He had been through two restructures. He's seen brilliant colleagues lose jobs and started to feel really uneasy. He said, Mo, I'm not really scared of working. I'm just scared of having no control. And then this is when we built his It Doesn't Matter plan. Step one, we mapped out his expenses, his real expenses, not the ideal life, but the real one. And then we moved into looking at his assets, his super, his RSUs, savings, managed funds, everything. After that, we moved into the third step, converting assets into income streams. So he began with $2,000 a month in distributions, not life changing, but tangible. Then we added another layer, dividends paying ETFs and managed funds in a tax free structure. And we added then a small investment property. Over 5 years, his income grew to $12,000 a month, consistently coming every month. It is consistent, reliable, and boring as well. His salary still came in, but it stopped defining him. When another round of redundancies hit his company, he was just, cool. Well, I'm fine. I've already built my next paycheck. And that's what is this all about. Not waiting for a crisis. It's just building a plan and being proactive about it. So how does this plan really work? You don't really have to be a millionaire to build this. You just need a structure, and think of this structure in three buckets. The first bucket is growth assets, shares, RSUs, superannuation, high growth investments. These will fuel your long-term wealth. Now, step two, income assets. This will replace your salary. Dividend funds and listed property trusts, distributions, rental income, business income, the parts that pay you regularly. You name it. And then the third thing is your buffer, a small liquidity layer to manage timing and tax. Most tech professionals overinvest in the first bucket and ignore the second. They build net worth, but not cash flow. But net worth doesn't pay bills. Cash flow does. So the shift is simple. Start converting growth into income deliberately. Not at once, but gradually with intention. The goal is to create a system where one day you can say, my investment pay my life. My job funds my fun. But let me pause here for a second, because what I'm saying today may not be applicable to everyone. Sometimes people want only growth assets because they don't really need the income now. Does this mean that you do two buckets? No, just do the three, but reallocate the portions. Focus more on growth assets. There are multiple options. And again, today is not financial advice. You have to manage your expectations and check your circumstances before you do anything. I've always told my clients, every goal has a different approach and portfolio. So what I'm talking about today is just about people who wants it doesn't matter money. People who wants to replace their salary. Now, let me talk about the big surprise people find hard to believe. The hardest part of this plan is not financial. It is actually emotional. I always tell my clients, numbers are the easiest part of a financial plan. Your goals, motivations, and preferences are the hard part that we need to explore. Because the moment you start thinking about replacing your salary, you have to confront how deeply your identity is tied to your income. When you say I earned $400,000, what you're really saying is I matter because I produce. And that's a human nature. It is the quiet addiction of high achievers, and most tech professionals are high achievers. But when your assets start paying you, that link starts to break. You realize your worth doesn't disappear when your payslip does. And that is real wealth for you and your family. Freedom from that anxiety that your life depends on one employer, one title, or one vesting date. That is why this concept resonates so deeply. It's not about quitting work, it's about reclaiming control. When your salary becomes optional, your relationship with risk changes completely. You really stop chasing maximum returns and you start prioritizing minimum regret and effort. You stop asking, what if I miss out? Because you're already in the game. And start asking, what if I don't need to? That's when you begin to make decisions like a wealthy person, not because how much you have, but because of how little you need from others. Your investments become calm and consistent. Your family conversations become lighter and you remove the financial stress out of the conversations. I've heard it many times from my clients, family and friends. The most important part in a relationship and the most troublemaking item in the discussions is financials. Financial stress is real. If you take this out of the equation, your life will become happier and calmer. Your time becomes yours again to do things that really matters to you and your family. You don't really have to skip the events at your kid's school, and you can make drop-offs and pickups if you want to because you've got the freedom to do that. So that is the hidden product of it doesn't matter money. Emotional independence. So you might be asking now, how do I start more? And now it's the time to tell you. First of all, know your number. That is very important. What does it actually cost to live your life comfortably? Most people don't know. They estimate, they round up or downplay. But you need a real number. The monthly cost of living the life you want. Now, step two, design your income. Start thinking, if I stopped working tomorrow, how would I generate the number from assets? Maybe it's dividends, property income, super income streams, or business income. I want to do my own thing. The mix doesn't matter as much as the reliability. Now, step three is to automate growth. Use your salary and RSU while you have them to build the engine. Do not rely on the share price of your company. I can have endless conversations. I can show you endless examples where the share price dropped by more than 50%. You don't want to be there, believe me. Treat every vest and every bonus, every raise as an opportunity to buy freedom. Because one day those bonuses stop and your system will keep going if you have it right. Step four, reinvest until you hit the crossover point. The crossover point is when you have replaced your income. That is the milestone where your passive income equals your living expense. When that happens, even if you keep working, the pressure disappears. That is, it doesn't matter money in action. Now, a big part of designing it doesn't matter money is tax structures. Because if you design it the wrong way, your number can have a further runway. So instead of having, let's say, $60,000, you're having 50 because you're paying $10,000 in tax. So tax planning is crucial in that space. I'll tell you about another client. We'll call her Jasmine. She was a senior project manager at a global tech company. Great role, great pay, terrible hours. Always on and always available, traveling around the E, always one Slack ping away from stress. When she came to me, she said, Mo, I don't hate work. I just hate that I can't stop. I want out from corporate in 15 years. I can't take it anymore. We built a plan actually for a 10 years horizon. She used her RSUs consistently and super contributions as well. We used smart investments to create income streams step by step. And after 5 years, she'd built enough to replace 60% of her salary. Now, guess what she did? She didn't quit. She went to her manager and she said, look, I can't really take it anymore. I'm only available 60% of the time. It's either this or I'll have to find another job. And because the manager knows her potential and knows she's doing a great job, she accepted the offer. She actually reduced her hours. Now, she didn't quit. She just went part time and volunteered into something that she loves. 2 days a week became hers. She started volunteering. She picked up a hobby and said something that stuck with me for a long, long time. For the first time in my life, I feel like I own my time again. Before, she came with a statement saying, I don't know how to stop. Now she have full control how to stop. And that is the emotional return on investment. Sometimes the return on investment doesn't come in dollars. It comes in the emotional comfort, in having peace of mind, in being calm. It is freedom, calm, dignity. You can't put a price tag on these things. So, what is the difference between financial planning and financial freedom? And this is where people mostly go wrong. They think financial planning is about making money. It's not about designing income. I always tell my clients, my added value is not an extra 1% in your portfolio performance. My added value is that I will keep you accountable and consistent to structure that works to help you save on tax and make money to retire early. That's where my added value is. Anyone can make money in a bull market. Doesn't take a genius to do so. But few are able to build a system that keeps paying in every season, regardless of what happens in the market. That's what it doesn't matter money forces you to do. Think like a business, not a consumer. Your job is your first income stream, and your assets are your second income stream. So when the second one catches up with the first, then you have built independence. It's not a dream, it's a plan by design. And let me tell you, if you're asking how long that would take you, or how can I do that, this isn't a quick project. It takes time, discipline, and patience. It's simple, but it's not easy. But every dollar you shift from earned income to passive income moves you closer to work optional and retiring early. Every dividend that lands without effort, every rent check that clears without stress, that is another step towards it. It doesn't matter money. Because the goal isn't to be done with work. The goal is to be done with worry and unsustainable income. Imagine waking up one day, looking at your calendar and realizing you work because you choose to. You choose to be in that place, in that spot. Your time is your own and your bills are paid before you open your laptop. And that's not luck, that's design, and it takes time, effort, and grit. So let me leave you with this question. If your income stopped tomorrow, would your life stop too? If the answer is yes, that is not a reason to panic. It's an invitation to plan. Because financial independence isn't about the day you quit. It's about the day you could and it wouldn't matter. That is the power of it doesn't matter money. If you don't have it doesn't matter money and you're earning $400,000 or $500,000, let me honestly tell you, you are in trouble. If that's something you've been thinking about, let's talk about it. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to me. If you have any questions or clarifications or you want to discuss this further, please send me an email on mo@mywealthchoice.com.au. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.